You post something, a photo, a thought, a story, and then you go back again and again. You refresh, you check the likes, you reread what you wrote, you watch yourself on repeat. Not because you're vain, not because you're obsessed with attention, but because something inside you needs to see it, to confirm it, to make sure it's right. And every time someone catches you doing it, you feel a little ashamed, like you're too self-absorbed, too needy, too much. But here's the truth. You're not narcissistic. You're not broken. What you're doing has a name in psychology, and it's not what you think. You're not checking for vanity. You're checking for safety. It's called self-monitoring. It's a psychological concept where individuals constantly observe and evaluate their own behavior, especially in social contexts, to regulate how they're perceived. Think of it like this. Your brain has an internal editor, a director, watching the film of your life. And every time you post something, you've just released a scene to the world. But unlike a real director, you don't get reshoots. You don't get to control how people interpret it. So your brain does the only thing it can. It replays the scene over and over. Not out of ego, out of anxiety. You're rewatching yourself because you're trying to see what they see. And here's why that matters. If you grew up in an environment where your words were misunderstood, where your emotions were invalidated, where you had to explain yourself constantly just to be believed, then your nervous system learns something dangerous. What I mean and what people hear are not the same thing. So now every post becomes a test. Did I say it right? Did it land the way I intended? Will they misunderstand me again? You're not seeking validation, you're seeking confirmation that you were clear, that you were safe, that you won't be misread and abandoned. It's hypervigilance, dressed up as a double tap. And here's what nobody tells you. People who rewatch their own posts aren't shallow, they're deeply self-aware. You care about how you're perceived because you care about connection. You replay your words because language matters to you. You analyze your image because you understand that communication is an art and you want to get it right. This isn't vanity, this is intentionality. You're not obsessed with yourself, you're obsessed with being understood. But here's the line you need to watch. Self-monitoring becomes self-imprisonment when you stop posting altogether, when the fear of being misunderstood becomes louder than the need to be seen, when you edit yourself into silence. There's a difference between refining your voice and erasing it. One is care, the other is a cage. If you're rewatching to improve, to learn, to grow, that's healthy. But if you're rewatching to punish yourself, to spiral, to delete everything you've ever said, that's when the behavior stops protecting you and starts consuming you. So if you're someone who goes back and rereads your own captions at 2 a.m., if you replay your own stories just to make sure they sounded okay, if you've ever felt embarrassed for caring this much, know this: you're not broken. You're just wired to connect deeply in a world that often listens shallowly. And that's not a flaw, that's a gift. You just have to learn when to stop directing and start trusting that your voice is enough. Subscribe if you think deeper than you scroll.